I think I've just decided that I'm going to go full in, just not taking shit seriously in many ways. And one thing that I think I'm really going to talk a lot about and really just become a staple of the Politically Helpless platform is fat shaming people. There's a study that recently was circulated about how more Republicans died of COVID than Democrats. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've lived in Austin, Denver, like blue cities, LA, San Diego, and I've also spent a lot of time in red states and red cities. And I can tell you that if there's more conservatives that died from COVID, it's because they're fat as fuck. Look at Trump and look at Biden. Now you could say Biden, his brain isn't functioning, but he's like, doesn't look like an unhealthy guy physically. Even look at Nancy Pelosi. Like, she looks like an old movie star with humongous tits. That's what Nancy Pelosi looks like. Now look at Ted Cruz. Look at Mitch McConnell. Look at Chris Christie, for Christ's sake. Jesus. And that's not just Republicans, but just in general, it's like at the end of the day, I'm not racist, I'm not sexist, I'm not misogynist, none of these things, these isms or whatever, get a hold of me. Actually, I think some fat people are great, and that's fine. Do what you want to do. But if you're going to be a burden on society by being a fatty bombati, I think I need to take a principled stance there and not do it in a kind way. I just have zero interest. If you really want help, well, yeah, we can be kind. But then again, it's so funny because you have these like personal responsibility conservatives who can't even take responsibility for what they put in their fucking mouth. You want to talk about personal responsibility, and you're a lard ass. These pro-freedom folks, they want to be pro-freedom. They're not even free from chronic inflammation. It's like they're anti-woke, but it's because they have sleep apnea. They're back in the blue. Jeez. It's like we need to build a wall around the snack aisle. We have people like Laura Ingraham. We're going to talk about like railing against weed being a gateway drug. We don't talk about Mountain Dew being a gateway drug. Mountain Dew kills more people than weed. Straight up. It's a gateway drug to being a fat Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola, gateway drugs. McDonald's, gateway drug. Happy Meal, gateway drug for children. What in the And that's the thing about metabolic health, like this whole study that came out, and it's not even peer reviewed yet, and it's garbage, and I haven't taken it seriously. And to be honest with you, I haven't read it. I don't want to waste my time. Somebody's like, well, how do you know about it if you haven't read it? And I'm like, I don't know. You look at these things enough times, you're like, I can tell what this is. I can tell you that The Little Mermaid is going to suck. I can tell you that Marvel Phase 4 is trash. And anything that comes out and is going to be trash. Right? I'm very rarely surprised by these things because there's trends. How do you know that a turd is a turd without putting it in your mouth? You see this study coming out, and it's like, well, there's no purpose for this. And you don't even get into like the nuance of it. And they didn't even control for metabolic health. So you don't know how much sugar these people are consuming. When the top killers in the country, right? Heart disease, diabetes, all of these things, right? Like we know what they are. They're all correlated with metabolic health and inflammation. So these studies that come out, these people want to have this conversation about like, well, it's because Republicans didn't take the vaccine. First off, I know a lot of Republicans, they're all vaccinated, man. Like I just, it's this craziest thing. And it's like, okay, so like some fatty baddies didn't get vaccinated. Okay. Like who cares? If you drink a gallon of Mountain Dew a week, like, and that's being conservative, by the way, a gallon of Mountain Dew a week and you die of COVID, like who is supposed to feel sorry for you? And again, I know it's a bigger picture here. There's a bigger picture of zooming out of how people are essentially indoctrinated into sugar consumption, addicted to sugar, right? Sugar is hidden in foods to create a dopamine response, to create an addictive process. It's the same thing as being like, I'm being kind of a dick about it, and I know that, okay? And it's kind of a joke and it's kind of not, but it's similar to getting hooked on opioids through your doctor. That's what it's like to have food addiction in the United States. It's been endorsed. Now there's certain people that like know better and do it anyways. That's like just being a meth head, right? That's a different conversation. All of this is really interesting. It's really interesting to me, but I think that I have to take, if I'm going to be real with myself and I'm going to be honest and I'm going to be living in some kind of integrity here with this show, I've got to take a principled stance against fatties. Make fatties fat again. I was a fat kid. Maybe it's how like some black folks can use the N-word. I was a fatty. I grew up fat. I was obese. I was an obese child. Okay, I can track down some photos if you want to see them. I got bullied, all right? Girls didn't like me. I smelled weird. It's just part of it. Underneath my triple chins, I turned out to have amazing bone structure. And then I was 6'4", and then I was an athlete. Things happened. It worked out for me. My life got easier because I could move around. It's important, you know, and I got inspired by like health and fitness because I saw the change it made in my own life and did some other things. And like now I can kind of like work out 3 times a week and do what I want and kind of eat junk food sometimes if I want to in moderation because I have a little bit of self-control, but I wasn't there growing up. So I understand the pain that causes. I can see how easy it would have been to slip down that path and just stay there my whole life. But we have to take a stance against fatties. It's a burden on the healthcare system. It's a burden on the country. And if you're a fatty talking about personal responsibility out there, if you're a conservative fat ass and you're talking about personal responsibility, liberals have their fair share of like soft-bodied purple hairs out there, but it's just not the same scale. I mean, let's use Texas as an example. Go to Austin, very blue city in a red state, which is good, needs some balance. And then go to like somewhere like the suburbs of Dallas and tell me it's not a different world. And if you want to make America great again, a great America is a healthy America. So if you want to make America great again, make it look like it used to, right? Let's have proper medical health. And the thing is, we need to be more focused on the 75,000 different variations of Lay's potato chips being a problem than we are about weed. Now, weed can be a gateway drug to Lay's potato chips, and I understand that, but we've got to reevaluate the way we look at health. And maybe the way to do that, I'm going to find out, is by fat shaming the out of entire nations. Maybe we should run a platform of just fat shaming. But if somebody wanted to address that issue, we could wage a war on fatties instead of a war on drugs. Maybe we'd be better off. And I know people are like, well, sometimes, like you can be big, fat, and healthy. And I'm like, how? And people are like, well, just because you're thin doesn't mean you're healthy. And I'm like, yeah, Amy Winehouse towards the end was not healthy. Models that smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day and don't eat are not healthy, right? But we're not there anymore. This isn't the 90s. Kurt Cobain is dead and people are too fat. What do you want me to tell you? You understand? Like there's the body positivity movement, in my opinion, has been a net positive, especially for women, because there's women of all shapes and sizes. Let's also draw a fucking distinction between a thick bitch and a fatty. Being thick and being fat are not the same. A thick woman is like a robust woman. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a thing. Being thick is fine. I'm a thick bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a big boy. And there's a difference in that and Lizzo. Now I love Lizzo. I think Lizzo's super talented. Just like I can say there's a difference between, a 270, 300 pound guy who plays in the NFL and Chris Farley. We use Chris Farley a lot. Chris Farley, didn't really do things in moderation. Ralphie May, funny as shit, and died because he was a fatty. It sucks. It's sad. I just don't want to hold back. And that's the thing too, with like, when you think about it, even like saying like fatties, fatty bombaddies, like these the things that I'm saying, instead of like more PC terms, I don't care. Because like language has been policed so much that I just don't care. It's one of the reasons I use the word retard now. For a long time, I was like, yeah, that's maybe not an appropriate word to use. Maybe you shouldn't call people fat. Maybe this and that. And then it was just like, you can't say this. You can't say that. You can't think this. You can't think that. And I was like, fuck you, dude. I'm going to say whatever the I want. I'll call people retards and fatties all I want. That being said, if somebody ever called someone with cognitive disabilities a retard in my presence, I would beat the shit out of them, man or woman. But he told me to be the Andrew Tate against fatties. And maybe I will.